Hi guys, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop, and I've had a few viewers ask me how can I put a belt on my snapper, or how can I adjust the belt so it's tighter or maybe a little looser. Well, we're talking about the turtles. Now, once you see it, you'll recognize it. Now, a lot of people get upset when I call these a turtle. I'm not trying to slam them. Granted, they have their issues, and if at all possible, I probably wouldn't buy one. But I bought this one just so I could have it to show you how to do things on them. This is a 2013. One of the worst ones they ever came out with, because it was the first one. This one is in really good shape. I'm surprised, except for the engine. It's what they call an entry-level engine. It's supposedly a 10 horse, but the 5 horse engine on my walk behind is physically bigger than this thing. The starter is pathetic. It's plastic. The bottom of the starter is plastic. They break very easy, and then you can't start it because there's no rope. I did repair the starter. I made an aluminum cap with a brass bushing to put on it so I could at least use the starter. But anyway, it's a long list of issues with this thing. And we're going to put a belt on it. I got the belt off, and we're going to put it on. And seeing I didn't do a video last week, things are crazy around here. I'm going to show you how to adjust it in the same video. First thing you want to do is get the thing standing up, and believe me, they're extremely dangerous to stand them up. They are so front heavy, or in this case the way it is, it's top heavy. They tip very easily. The bumpers that are on this are not the bumpers that you can buy. These are made out of some thicker steel pipe. And as I was standing it up the first time, they even bent where the holes drilled that bolts them on the back of the machine, because that's a weak spot. So I would get myself a rope hoist. I've showed them on other videos, and I would hook this thing to a tree and lift it up and let it hang there. First thing you want to do is, let me drop this down. So on the back of the deck, there is 3 L bolts. They're shaped like an L. They go through the back supports of the deck. They have a washer. They have a washer and a cotter key. Just pull that out, and you can pull that right out of there. The other side also has that. If I can move this thing around. But it also has a rod that comes from your adjusting handle, and you have to take that off also. But that's held on with a washer and a hairpin. It's much easier to get that off. I take all this off so the deck can swing, because this is very tight in here, and you're going to have issues trying to get in there to work on this thing. The next thing I use is a 24-inch 2x4. And not much room in here. You want to pull the deck out and slide this 2x4 in just below the joint that the deck pivots on off the front end. That will allow the deck to hang straight down, but yet pull it away from the frame so you can get in here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, you're going to be able to see what I'm doing or not. Now we want to get the cover off. The cover is held on with 4 7/16. You need a 7/16 socket to get these off. They look like a 1/4-20 bolt. And then you have 2 cables up here. One comes from the lever that engages the deck, and the other cable comes from it's not a switch, I guess it would be a lever underneath the seat. When you sit in a seat, that releases the brake on your blade. So you want to wiggle this cover off of them 2 cables, and it will drop right out. Here's where the 2 cables go through. One goes through here, one goes through up here. And this actually, once you get it bent off them cables, it falls out pretty nice. Now, we want to get the belt in. Trying to think of what's the easiest way to explain this to you. We're going to hook the belt around the spindle pulley. Let me tip this back down. The big, large pulley. We're going to hook it around there. We're going to drop it down inside the rear case. Now on the other side of this pulley, I don't know, maybe I should move you over here. I'll pause this and move you around. Okay, there's a keeper on this side of the pulley that's right here. Now this one is flimsy enough you can actually force the belt behind it so you don't have to unbolt anything. Now the one on the idler pulley, that one you have to unbolt. And now I guess we'll go down to the bottom and I'll show you how to get it on the bottom of the engine. Okay, now let's get the belt hooked up on the bottom. You want to put it in 5th gear. Get it all the way over. Get yourself a small pair of vice grips. Clamp them on the yoke, because you're going to want to swing that chain case away from the drive disc so you can get the belt between the two without taking this off. Well, I didn't really want to do it. We're going to take it off the pulley up there, so I got a little slack. Now you want to stick it inside of this wire keeper and pull it towards you and pull it down. Now it's in front of the drive disc, but it's inside the keeper. Push down on your yoke and shove the belt through. If you turn your drive disc a little, or your clutch disc a little, it'll pop right through. And reach around here and put it over top of the pulley on the spindle. And that'll hold it down here so it don't fall off on you. Now, if we can get this up high enough, I don't know, maybe all right, now you'll need a 9/16 wrench and a 9/16 socket. I don't know if you can see this. I think I'm going to swing it around on the other side. Okay, as you're looking at the bottom of the machine, you want to grab the belt that is on the right hand side, and it has to go over this pulley. Make sure I'm still in down here. And it is. Now we have to take this idler pulley off. This is the pulley and the bracket that goes on the bottom of the machine where the belt goes through. Now this bracket has an ear sticking out. You have to make sure you get that in the hole on the bracket, or this is going to turn and it'll probably burn up your belt. Had that engaged and it didn't have enough belt to get this on here. I turned that, and now you can't see. Let me turn this back. I still don't know if you can see where I'm trying to. This is a very tight spot to get into. Right here. Okay, you should be able to see, I hope. Now we got to put the bracket on. This is what keeps the belt from coming off of your pulley. Then their pulley goes on, and I have that little tab on that keeper in the right place. Now this is a self-locking nut. You're going to need a wrench and a socket to tighten it up. Well, I grabbed the wrong wrench. And I grabbed the 5/8 instead of the 9/16. Now I think you can see the assembly better from this side. I can't tell what you're looking at because I can't see the screen. Okay, there's the idler pulley with the bracket on the back that holds the belt on so it doesn't pull off. Now, all we got to do is put the arms back on and the cover Well, why don't we, I'm going to engage the deck. Okay, to tighten or loosen the belt on the machine, you want to, I usually put them in gear, which this one is engaged, and this lower cable that goes through the cover we took off, this is the upper one here. It's hard to see if I can bend it down. 2x4's in the way. That's the brake. This one is to adjust your tension on your belt. You want to get a small crescent wrench because this is a piece of tubing they have threaded. And the top of the tubing, they just crush it into a hex and nothing fits it. A metric wrench won't fit it. A 1/4 inch wrench won't fit it. So you got to put a crescent wrench on it. Then you break loose with a 1/2 inch wrench this top nut. There's another nut on the bottom of this plate down here. You break the top one loose and spin it out of the way. You hold this tubing and you twist the nut on the bottom to pull this up. That will tighten it. Then you want to spin this nut down on the top and lock it back in place so you don't lose your setting. This is a really crazy way to do it because you can't, it's hard to get in here. To work on this thing, I would buy a Mojack. It's M-O-J-A-C-K, and it's made for lifting lawnmowers. You drive your front tires up on it. It's fully adjustable. I use it for my snapper, and I use it for my 1,000-pound Ingersoll garden tractor. It lifts them up, no problem. And it'll lift them up about 3 feet in the air. To adjust this, you wouldn't have to go up that high. But trying to do this on the ground, it's going to be next to impossible. So I would probably lift it somehow, maybe use that same rope hoist in a tree and lift the front end up till you get it on about a 45, and then you can kneel down and get in here. Now if you want to adjust your deck from side to side, this is what you use. This light kind of washes out everything in front of it. Let me move the light, I guess. You can see that the bolt through this nut is off center. That's elliptical. You break the bolt loose from the back side, you put a wrench on here and you turn it. That is going to either push this side down or pull it up. Right now it looks like it's down as low as it's going to go. When you get it adjusted side to side, then you use these L-shaped brackets that we took off so the deck was loose, and there's a nut on the top of them. You tighten that nut and that will bring the back up or drop it down, whatever way you have to go. The light's almost too bright. Now we're going to try to get the cover back on. Now I looked in the book. I bought this from Jason. We drove over to his house and picked it up, and he didn't have the book or the paperwork at the time because he gave it to his neighbor. His neighbor tried to keep this thing running for him. He did go over and get it, and he mailed it to me. But there is nothing in this book that tells you how to adjust the belt or how tight to have it. The round tube machines is right around 1 inch to 1 1/8 inches between the two closest points on the belt. And The same with this. You find the two closest points when it's engaged, and this one seems to cut fine, and I have 2 inches between the belts. A lot of this stuff they don't put in the books because they want you to take it to a authorized dealer. The ones around here, a lot of them are anywhere from $48 to $95 an hour. You can do this yourself. Now we want to get this thing up in here. Let me back you up a little bit. Get this wiggled in. Drops in pretty good. The hardest part is flexing it to get it around these 2 cables. And that went in pretty good. Okay, I'm not gonna bother putting the bolts in it. That's pretty obvious. We're gonna drop this down a little, and we're gonna put this L-shaped bracket on. It just goes in there on the outside like that. And we get our washer and cotter key, wherever the cotter key went. Oh, I did have it. It's laying on the floor somewheres. Now this one seems to be the hardest one to get in. It's for your elevation. I think salespeople trying to get me some car insurance, I think. We're going to pull this 2x4 out. That might make it a little easier to get this adjusting rod in place. Got the hairpin and the washer. Oh, much better. It sure didn't come out of there that good. And that's it. Now we can go around to the other side. And it's the same thing over here. You put your L-shaped adjusting rod. You can see how much thread is sticking up here for adjusting it. And the washer and cotter key goes in. And that's it. Now I hope I made about 16 people happy. I've had a lot of questions on that. It's just this thing is heavy. I had to dig it out of the back corner of my old garage. We had a heck of a storm the last couple of weeks. I think about 4 days ago, and we got baseball size hail in some areas. Luckily they didn't get at here. So I said, what the heck, I'll dig this thing out. Can't do anything else outside. So I got it in the shop, and I'm surprised I didn't get a hernia off of lifting that thing up. They are extremely heavy. So if you have trouble lifting a lot of weight, I would not try standing one of these up by yourself. I would definitely buy a rope hoist. I have a video out shows how to lift this thing. The rope hoist I bought from Farm and Fleet or Tractor Supply. They all sell them. And that thing really makes it easy. The next video we might be talking about the rack and pinion on here, because a lot of guys, that's another very weak point, and they strip out. So we'll do a video on how to replace that. So that's it. I hope I helped you out. Don't forget to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if these videos help you. Let me know what you think. And until next time, work safe, have fun, and keep on snapping. We'll talk to you soon. So long.